Adam Wharton could potentially be on his way to Manchester United. Apparently, there's an open talks going on between Palace and Manchester United. He's an option to look at. We'll be talking about Belabor. There's been a huge kind of interview with Ben Jacobs with the United stand, which again we'll go through. And there's some interesting points in there. I think he is a very credible journalist, in my opinion, anyway. So I'd go through some of the things that had come out. But the first thing that has come out is on the midfield. I feel like that's something that we need to talk about. And we always talk about it, really. It's kind of the main topic of most of the news now. What I would say on the midfield immediately is we know we need two midfielders. And that's what is being reported. Manchester United are targeting two midfield profiles. Firstly, a clearly defined number six who is disciplined, positionally rigid, and defensively reliable. And secondly, an energetic box-to-box midfielder capable of operating as an eight without the need for significant goal contributions. Together, they're intended to form the engine room of the team. The race for Adam Wharton is still very much open at early stages. He's on the Manchester United list for the summer, but Chelsea are also interested. Carlos Balaber's form so far this season has not put anyone off, with Manchester United confident they can now strike a better deal. There's a belief that within the club, should he move, he would more closely resemble last season's version of himself rather than the performances so far. So listen, on the midfield, I know we know we need two midfielders. As I said, the profiles that we talk about are the two that be mentioned. They're an energetic box to box player. So a defined number six who is disciplined, positionally rigid, and defensively reliable. And secondly, an energetic box-to-box midfielder capable of operating as a high eight without the need for significant goal contributions. Now, what I would say, as the deep line number six, I think that's Elliot Anderson. I think he's the one that Manchester United want. He has a lot of competitors, and we know that, and we talked about that. But I think Day is definitely one that we wanted. There's been no talks about that, but we know the profiles that United are looking for. As an energetic box-to-box midfielder, capable of operating as an eight, I think Belabor is that. He can carry the ball, he's box-to-box, he's energetic, he can get the odd goal, but that's not a preference. So I think they're the two midfielders there. On Adam Wharton, listen, I didn't know that Manchester United are open to signing him. I thought it was just a kind of story from fans, really. But it's at the early stages. He's on United's list for the summer. But they will have a huge portfolio with players like Anderson, Wharton, Belabor, Tyler Adams, Joel Gomez, Alex Scott, Angelo Stiller. Like, lots of players would be on the list for United. But I think that is a profile that they want there. So that is kind of a huge indicator. I think if Adam Wharton was to go into one of them, he would be a disciplined, positionally rigid, and defensively reliable number six. He is, I wouldn't say he's energetic, and yeah, but what he does effectively is play that simple pass. Belabor, again, I believe he is going to be the one that United sign, definitely. And it'd be a toss-up between Anderson and Wharton, in my opinion. Now, the next thing, there's been some talks about Carrick potentially staying at the club, which we'll talk about. So Manchester United told Michael Carrick quite clearly they will run the permanent manager process while he is in situ, with the hope that he can build continuity towards whoever comes in. And that time is going to be thorough. And it's going to be thorough and extensive because they have plenty of time. Regardless of what Carrick does, several candidates will be interviewed, but Carrick can force his way into conversations with a good run of form until the end of the season. And listen, I think that kind of does make sense. I think there's been talks about Carrick's training sessions being less intense, but I think that is kind of self-explanatory. Carrick does well from now to the end of the season, potentially gets Manchester United into the Champions League. There will be a huge sort of pressure from the fans to keep him on now. I think if he does get to Champions League, I would probably say keep him, but in the emotion. But if we're looking at it from as of now, this current moment, I don't think it's the right decision to do. I know he showed a lot of progression and a lot of... Listen, we'll have to review at the end of the season, but my feeling now is not to give Carrick the permanent job. Now, meetings took place within the club last week to discuss the January window and assess whether any late opportunities could emerge. And a signing this month has not been ruled out. This is typically the period where transfer merry-go-round begins and valuable opportunities can suddenly appear. Manchester United will remain alert, but if no deals are completed, it will reflect the club's decision not to panic buy. So, listen, I don't expect anything to happen. I think the window is open till the 1st or 2nd of Feb, so it's still a few days yet. Again, it could be a quick loan deal, but I don't think anything will happen really. But again, we'll have to wait and see what comes out. On Ndiaye, I think it's something I talked about a few days ago. He's not for sale, I don't think Everton will have to find a very good replacement for someone like Ndiaye. Now, on the managerial situation, actually, no, I'll talk about Harry Maguire's contract situation first. So, Harry Maguire is waiting for for a formal contract extension offer after talks last year, but United intentionally delayed because they were assessing the position. Maguire is ready to sign, be on flexible terms, and would like his future sold as soon as possible. It remains possible. It remains possibly that an extension is tabled. Now, listen, I watched a video Stephen Howson did, talking about Maguire, and I thought it was a very, very good video. So, I mean, what a video it was! It was a great bit of analysis, and he talked about how Maguire is someone who, listen, De Ligt and Martinez are going to be kind of the main two, I would say, when De Ligt is fit. And I think you have Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro, who are two inexperienced defenders. And they're still learning their trade. And I think Maguire would be perfect as the mould of someone who could come into play. He won't play every game, just at the age that he's at. He's, 33 now. He's waiting for that contract. And I think if we do keep him at the club, I think his experience would be valuable. The turnaround that he's had at United has been truly remarkable. I don't think many players could have dealt with what he has dealt with. It was tough for him on a personal level. He's got a lot, everyone was criticising him. And to come out in the way that he did and the way in which he's playing now is fantastic. Now, what the one caveat would be, he has to take a massive wage cut. You can't be paying 33-year-old Harry Maguire 190 grand a week. It's just not right. I know he's a good player. He's been very good. He's an England international. But I think maybe on 100k, maybe a bit less than that, I think he'd be perfect. And I think he's someone who wants to stay at the club. I watched the podcast he did with Manchester United, talking about his love for the club, his desire, and he wants to do well. And whether that's not like in the last 2 games in the CARRICK, he's played back-to-back 90 minutes. So he is someone who's definitely valuable. I think his experience is needed, and especially with the younger players as well. And with the Aiden Heavens, I would love to see Maguire stay at the club 1 more year, or potentially 2. On a reduced salary, though, I think that is the thing. I think he's one of the good centre-backs. Really, in big games, he started for United this season, got the winner at Anfield. So yeah, very, very good. And you look at his catalogue at the moment, let's talk about it. Winner at Anfield. He scored numerous 90-minute winners. I remember Ipswich, Porto in the Europa League, Lyon, as I said, already mentioned Anfield, Leicester in the FA Cup, I remember. Any of the big moments, England final, I know that's not for United, but England Euro final, taking the first pen, top bins, very, very good player. And I think he's been at United, 7 or 8 years. I think the last maybe 4 to 5 years has been great. Harry Beckenbauer last season getting an assist, and yeah, he's been very, very good. So I wouldn't mind keeping him on reduced terms. Now, on the managerial situation, there's been a lot of talk about De Zerbi and Tuchel. Now, Tuchel and De Zerbi, for me, this is what Ben Jacobs was saying with his interview earlier. Our head coaches are not managers. Are not managers, so they could fit within this Manchester United model. The challenge is not so much using the long-term planning, how they fit in. They like the wider teams. But they like the wider teams using data and sports science, picking targets for the future. But the problems will arise when the manager wants to change course due to injuries or lack of form and firefighting, which requires short-term fixes. I think United will want somebody quite fiery, passionate and confrontational. But as ever, these big models work when things are going right, and when they go wrong, you see people's true colours, and that's where Amorim and Wilcox fell out. I don't think United will be putting off hiring a big personality as long as they feel they'll be okay with the head coach, not manager. Tarleton out. What I would say on that is, just to conclude, because that's the last thing. Actually, no, I want to talk about Dalot to Madrid, actually. On the managerial situation, I think it's a bit of an interesting one. I think my ideal, I watched PSG yesterday, the way they would deal in that first 20 minutes with Newcastle was relentless. The press, the quality that they have is amazing. And I really do like Luis Enrique. If we're being realistic, I think it's more of the Tuchel, De Zerbi, these sorts of managers, which again I'm not kind of frustrated with. I don't really want De Zerbi. I think the way in which it ended at Brighton wasn't great for him. I know he's done a decent job with Marseille and he has Prem experience. But if I had to pick out Tuchel and De Zerbi, it would be Tuchel. He's won a Champions League. I know obviously De Zerbi has Prem experience, but Tuchel has that. Depending on how it goes with England as well, will have a massive factor. I think that will be key. So yeah, that is your latest news. Again, Dalot to Madrid. Actually, it's not coming from a credible source, and I don't think it'll happen anyway. The amount of time Dalot's been linked to Madrid, you thought he would have been there by now. So yeah, listen, I don't think that's gonna happen. But that has been your latest news. Adam Wharton update, a lot of other updates in there. So yeah, go check out the interview as well. That was done. It was out on the channel United Stand earlier, so check that out. But that has been your latest news. Let me know your thoughts and subscribe.